Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难.
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都还难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin, and joining me today is tada, a new guest, a new co-host, a new someone who's in the studio ready to learn some English.
My English is pretty good, I think.
Yes, it is. Ready to learn some Chinese.
That one's not so good, I'd say.
And that special someone is Steve Hatherley. Welcome to the studio, Steve.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here to help my own Chinese language skills, but hopefully in the process, help out some other first-time learners of the language as well.
This is actually very interesting because we've been doing Takeaway Chinese for quite a long time. There are hundreds of episodes, and we have covered the beginner's level, intermediate level, and maybe for some people, you can even find some Chinese idioms, which actually is a thing. It's a 4-character expression that carries a lot of background and story and historical facts behind it, and it means certain things in the Chinese language nowadays. Wow, this is super fun because I am explaining these things to you right now. And my point being, these Chinese idioms are quite sophisticated, and if you're able to use it in your everyday language, it says something about your Chinese level. We've got all that covered, and Takeaway Chinese is thinking, what can we do to spice things up a bit? What can we do to make the show even more interesting for the Chinese learners out there? And what we have designed for now is a special new series featuring those living in China or outside of China, having the experience of learning the language, or are taking an interest in learning this language. And Steve would be our very first guest for this special new episode. So from now on, instead of having one permanent or relatively frequent co-host of the show who is a foreigner learning the language, we are going to feature a lot of different guests with different command of the Chinese language. But what they do share is the enthusiasm of learning this language, the 普通话 or Mandarin.
It's a beautiful language to listen to because it's so different from the languages that I speak already. English, obviously, I speak Korean too, maybe in intermediate to upper intermediate level, but starting with Chinese. You know, I remember when I moved to Korea for the first time, I lived there for 24 years, not being able to recognize where one word ends and another word begins, right? It just sounds like one continuous word. And this feeling has come back to me now, learning Chinese for the very first time. But I'm really excited about it because it's such a pretty language to listen to, in my opinion. It's a musical language. There's so many things to learn about it, including the tones, 4 or 5 tones, and all the expressions and all the things you talked about already. So I'm starting from the very, very, very beginning. But I know there's other people out there just like me, so we'll start together.
Yes, we'll start together. So, can you tell us also a little bit more about yourself? What are you doing when you're not doing Takeaway Chinese?
Well, I'm doing Roundtable, of course, here at the station, which I'm really loving too. And just trying to adjust to living in a new country. Like I said, I lived in Korea for a long time, but I'm brand new to China. So I'm seeing everything for the first time. It's through a baby's eyes. You know, I'm learning about how essential Weixin is to everyday life. I'm learning about QR codes on restaurant tables and the fact that they are absolutely everywhere. Not 100% everywhere, but they still have menus somewhere. But yeah, just all the little intricacies, all the ins and outs of living here in China, living in Beijing, and also having fun exploring the city. And I've been over to the east side downtown around Chaoyang, spent maybe a month there, and now I'm here on the west side, and I haven't been to the Great Wall yet. I haven't done a lot of the big touristy stuff yet, but I'm really excited to do that.
It's really exciting. I wanted to start a new life in a new country too after listening to this long speech.
You know, I moved to Korea. I moved to Asia 25 years ago for that exact reason. You know, I'm from the east coast of Canada, from Nova Scotia, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a wonderful country, Canada. But I wanted to be a citizen of the world, which sounds very cheesy and dramatic, but it's a big place, and I wanted to learn other cultures and other languages and eat different foods and meet different people. And I was able to do that in Korea, and now, luckily, thankfully, I'm able to do it here in China, too. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
It's really awesome. And can I tell you a secret? Knowing Chinese will help you when you're in China.
No doubt about that. Yes. And even if I wasn't in China, you know, learning something new, using our brains, learning how other people use language to communicate with each other, it's a great asset to add to your tool bag, if you will.
So now let's start doing some brain gymnastics, learning a new language. For our dear listeners, if you're interested in the Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. So, for the very first sentence that you do want to learn in a different language, what would that sentence be, Steve?
Well, what I like to do, and I think it's a good tip for anyone when they start learning a language, sure, you can pick up a textbook, and that's very helpful as well. But when you're here, in the city, in the country, in the language, in the culture yourself, what I like to do is pay attention to the sentences that I want to know how to say when I'm in any particular situation or context. So, in my first month in China, I've met so many different people, and I think they've been asking me, what's your name and where are you from? But I'm not sure if that's what they've been asking me. So my very first thing that I want to know is, how do you say, nice to meet you, I'm Steve, I'm from Canada?
That is a legitimate request, and I feel like after the scenario you've painted, you've talked about, I wanted to tell you how to say, I don't know how to say Chinese, or I don't understand Chinese. I think that answers most questions.
That's also on my list of things to know today, but I thought I'd start at least with my name. At least I could communicate that with people.
Yes, that's a nice one. Actually, there are different ways of doing that. You can say things like, my name is, or you can say things like, I am, when I'm translating the Chinese sentence that I wanted to share with you directly into English. So, I am Steve would be 我是 Steve.
我是 Steve.
Yes, it's easy peasy, 2 characters, 2 simple syllables.
Okay.
So, 我 would be I or me or my, depending on the context. And 是 is basically is or are or am.
Like the to be verb?
To be verb,
okay.
Exactly. And the thing is, in Chinese, you do not have to distinguish different to be words based on the pronouns. We use 是 for basically everything.
Oh, that's convenient to know.
Yes.
So she, we, they, blah, 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 blah. It's all 是.
Exactly.
Okay. So 我是 Steve.
Yes, that's quite easy, right?
Yeah, that's the easiest one so far. It's also the first one so far.
You can also say 我叫 Steve.
我叫 Steve.
It's basically translated as I am called Steve. And the thing is, if you're saying 我叫 Steve or 叫我 Steve, it's like saying, well, can you guess what's 叫我 Steve?
叫我 Steve. 我 is I. So, like, call me Steve?
Exactly.
Ah.
See, if you say 我是 Steve, I am Steve.
Yep.
我叫 Steve, I am called Steve. 叫我 Steve, you can call me Steve.
Okay, so 我叫 Steve, or you can flip those and say 叫我 Steve.
But you cannot say 是我 Steve. Well, you kind of can, because if you're knocking on the door, someone saying, who is that? You can say, it's me, Steve. 是我 Steve.
Okay, yeah, right. But when meeting face to face, like, nice to meet you, 是我 Steve. It's Steve. That's an awkward.
It's a bit odd. And the
Okay.
reason I'm giving you all these different sentences is that perhaps you're going to hear people using them in your daily conversations or when you're meeting. Not even meeting, when you're out there on the streets and there are passersby introducing each other. And that is actually a really good practicing opportunity, trying to pick up the expressions or words that other people are using that you're familiar with.
Yep, exactly. It's like a spider web, isn't it? You know, you start with the inside, the core of the spider web, and it branches out, or like an octopus's legs in a way. So maybe learn one or two ways to express it, but just maybe familiarize yourself with other ways that people can say it too. All right, so let me practice that, Steve. Me. 我是 Steve. 我叫 Steve. Or 叫我 Steve.
Perfect.
Okay, got it.
And another reason that I think we should learn more ways of saying this is that a very common situation when someone started to learn Chinese is that if people don't understand them, because we know that the Chinese language actually has 4 tones. We talked about the 4 and 5 tone thing. There are 4 tones, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and also a light tone, which is in Chinese people's opinion, we think it's a very light way of pronouncing the character. When we're teaching the 4 tones, we usually use one noun or one specific pronunciation or syllable to enunciate the 4 tones. That's the first tone. That's the second tone, with a little bit of question mark in the pronunciation, in my opinion. That's the 4 tone. And would be the light tone.
Okay.
Which is why you understand it as 4 or 5 tones. And with tones, we actually have limited number of actual pronunciations for each characters, yet plus the various of different tones and also different combination of different characters putting together as words and as expressions, as sentences. The meaning of it depends a lot on the context and also quite a lot on the tone.
Okay.
So if you can pronounce the tone perfectly, of course, people will understand you. If you can say really long sentences with all the different additional information in the sentence, people understand you. But if you're a beginner and you're in the country and you're trying out your Chinese, it's possible that people won't be able to understand you, and repeating that same sentence does not always help. The reason I'm giving you different ways of saying the same thing is that when you're talking to people and they do not understand you, you can try another way. And with different ways, they'll put the info together and understand what you're saying.
Yeah, being able, and that's a skill in itself, being able to talk around what you're trying to say to deliver the point. And when you're a language student, getting your point across, that's always your goal, right? You don't have to be perfect with the language, but you do want to be able to know how to deliver your message.
Exactly. And when it comes to nice to meet you, there are, again, different ways. Let's start with the most common, yet a little bit long expression, that is 很高兴见到你.
Okay. 很高兴. And what was the second part?
见到你.
见到你.
Okay, so 很高兴, 很 is very, 高兴 is happy. A little note here, Chinese people actually enjoy 2-syllable words. So 高兴 actually is happy. So 很高兴, very happy, very glad.
Okay, I'll ask a question about happy in just a second. So, so 很高兴. And then the second part was 见到你.
见到你. 见 means to see or to look at. Well, actually, I think it's to see, because look is 看. Whereas 见 is see. It's the result of the verb. And 到 actually in itself means arrive, but it also means that the verb or the action is done, is completed, is finished. There is a result there. So, 我想去见你, I'd like to go see you. 我见到你了. I am looking at you right now. So that is like the action is completed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like the action has arrived to the destination of the action.
So it's like we're doing this right now type thing? Or you mentioned completed, like the meeting process is completed now?
The meeting purpose is reached. Because I'm looking at you. The purpose of the meeting is being able to look at you. So the moment that I see you suggests that it's completed or it's accomplished.
Okay, so
见到
见你is the see you part, and then the dao in the middle means like now we have met each other.
Exactly.
And then in the beginning, very happy. So the backwards translation to English would be very happy to see you now.
Yes. So 很高兴见到你. Very happy that I finally met you.
很高兴见到你.
Perfect.
Okay, now I know my tones are off there. And again, I'm going to ask you a question about tones in a little while. But those are the words, right? 很高兴见到你.
Yes.
I'll try it a little bit faster. 很高兴见到你.
Perfect.
Okay, good. Thank
Now,
you.
let's make it a little bit harder.
Okay.
Maybe not harder, just providing you with an alternative. That is 认识. Can you pronounce 认识 with me?
Now, that's a little bit difficult. One more time, please.
认识.
认识.
Perfect. So, 认 is the fourth tone thing.
Okay.
And 识 is actually a light tone. So, 认识.
认识.
Perfect. 很高兴认识你.
认识你.
认识 means get to know. I'm glad I get to know you. So this is actually even more appropriate for first-time meeting.
Okay. It's more polite.
It's more polite and also more, it suits the situation because I'm very glad that I'm looking at you right now suggests that I wanted to look at you before looking at you. I wanted to see you before our meeting. It suggests that I may know you or we may have exchanged conversations before, but 很高兴认识 is like when I'm introducing you to a new friend. And you can say to the new friend, I'm very glad that I get to know you because I didn't know I will know you today and this meeting makes me happy.
Okay, so what we're doing there is we're combining 认识你
认识你
认识你 with 很高兴.
Yes.
Okay, so 很高兴 still stays at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay, so then this would sound like 很高兴认识你.
Perfect. So that is nice to get to know you.
Okay.
And there is another way of saying this.
Oh dear.
It's actually easier to pronounce.
Okay.
幸会.
幸会.
Yes.
幸会.
幸 stands for 幸运, that's lucky.
Okay.
And 会 means meet.
Lucky to meet you.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes if it's in everyday language, if it's a colloquial situation, you say it twice. That's one other thing in the Chinese language. When you want to lighten the tone, when you want to sound relatively more casual or more polite, you say things twice, but don't do it to anything that you've learned in Chinese. I will tell you when to do it and gradually you would understand how to do it.
If you're ordering lunch, don't say it twice or you might get two
You might.
two different meals or two of the same meal.
All right, so
Okay,
here...
so I understand like you're saying if you say instead of just saying 幸会, if you say 幸会幸会.
Perfect.
Yeah, like
You're doing it great.
No, I get it. I understand. Yeah, and you can tell, even if you don't understand the words, you can just feel that in the tone of the words, that it's very casual, I'm guessing. Okay, so then with this expression, 幸会 versus 很高兴认识你, and also versus 很高兴 见到你,
Yes.
then this is the most casual of the three?
See, that's the thing. Not really.
Oh.
The reason I'm saying this is a complicated or interesting situation is that 幸会 is relatively easier to pronounce for a non-Chinese speaker. And when you're saying 幸会, you're only repeating it. So again, it's not hard to pronounce. Yet, 幸会 is relatively official if both parties are Chinese because 幸 stands for 幸运, lucky or privileged, and 会 is meeting. We talked about Chinese people enjoying two-syllable words, and you get to see that this one syllable actually a complete meaning already. That is because this expression is relatively from ancient time. It is common to hear Chinese people using this expression, for example, 50 or even 100 years ago.
Oh, okay. So if I'm meeting maybe an important person, or at least an important person to me where I want to be polite and I want to show respect, then saying 幸会
is actually even more appropriate.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And repeating it
is also okay.
It's also
like
okay.
Putting yourself in a position that you feel like, 幸会, I'm really glad to meet you.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So I know we've only learned I am Steve. Nice to meet you. Let's throw in I'm from Canada. 我来自
我来自
加拿大
Canada. 我 is I. Canada, I'm guessing, is Canada.
Good guess.
Okay.
Smart learner.
So, 我 I, Canada. Then the second thing you said must be from.
Yes. Actually, 来 means come. If you say to someone, come here, you can say 过来, come over. And 自 is from. It's the preposition from. So 自哪里来 or 从哪里来 is I'm from a certain place.
Okay.
So 来自 together is a word. It means from or come from.
Okay, so can you say that sentence one more time, please?
我来自加拿大
我来自加拿大
Yes.
So let's go back to the beginning. 我是 Steve, or 我叫 Steve, or 叫我 Steve. 很高兴见到你 or 很高兴认识你 or the easiest one, 幸会
Perfect.
我来自加拿大
Perfect. I know it feels like you've only learned one introduction word, 3 short sentences, but there are various ways of saying them, and you've also picked on certain character or certain traits of the Chinese language.
Yeah, and I've also picked up a little bit of the pronunciation. I also added to my vocabulary a little bit, talking about 高兴 is happy. So I'll be able to use that in the future. If someone asks, how are you feeling today? Then I can say, 我高兴.
Yes.
I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Right. So I'll be learning that a little bit later.
Since you've got all the vocabulary, let me give you a relatively more authentic way of saying it. You can say 我很高兴.
我很高兴.
Yes, that's the thing. In the Chinese sentence, we rarely just say 我高兴,我不高兴. 不 is no, by the way.
Yep.
We usually say I am very something. It's just a habit. So when you're saying 我很高兴 or 我挺高兴的, it's not really saying I'm really, really so excited, have to put the very there in the sentence. It's more or less a habit of the language.
Okay. So what the sentence one more time, please.
我很高兴, just like 很高兴认识你,很高兴,我很高兴.
我很高兴.
Yes.
我很高兴. And again, that means?
I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Yes.
Okay. 我很高兴. Excellent. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we covered several ways of saying the same thing together. So for those of you who are listening, who find it hard to start learning the Chinese language, maybe this can be your starting point. And I think we still have a little bit time to answer one question. I always wanted to do this, but none of my previous partners have zero experience in learning Chinese. So I'm going to do it to you, Steve. That is, if there's one thing that you are super curious about the language, if there's one question you want to ask about the Chinese language, what would that question be?
Well, I think the thing that separates, and this is just from my perspective of being a brand new student of Chinese, one of the things that separates it from my native language of English is the tones. So what I wanted to ask, and I've heard multiple times that the tones are really, really important in Chinese, because even if you say the same word with a different tone, you can be saying something completely different. So what I wanted to ask about, as a new student, would you recommend that people focus more on the words than the tone in the beginning? Or learn those tones, like drill those tones into your brain, and then start learning some words and the tones that go along with the words and the sentences. For example, when I learned Heng Gao Xing Jian Dao Ni, now I don't know which tones I'm supposed to be using there. So that's my question. Should I be focusing on the tones at the same time as learning the words, or don't worry about that in the very beginning?
Well, when it comes to tones, I think I have shared this personal opinion in previous episodes, but I think it's a really good question and it's a perfect time to reiterate that. That is, to start with, it depends on different situations, personal situations. If you are very sensitive to tones, for you, remembering the tone as well as the pronunciation of a certain character is not that complicated. You just remember it as it is. Then definitely making the tone right helps you go a long way. If you're making the tones right, even when you're using the kind of expression that carries the least number of characters, people can understand you because your tones are very precisely correct. Yet, if you find it really challenging to make every character's tone right, and you find it impossible to achieve that, because let's face it, if there is a sentence with 10 Chinese characters, which is not a really long sentence in Chinese, and you're getting 1/3 of the tones off, people might find it struggle to understand you.
Yeah, right.
Because one or two wrongs might be not that impactful, yet if it's 1/3 or 1/4, and spread it into different areas or different characters in the sentence, it changes things.
Yeah, I've had some difficulties with this sentence. Whenever I go to a restaurant, I know it's not common for people to order ice water in a restaurant, but I always do. I always ask for ice water. So I know that please is jing, and ice is bing, and water is shui, and give me is 给我.
Yes.
So I put those together and I say, 清冰水给我. And they look at me like, what? But in my brain, I'm saying it correctly because I know Qing is please and Bing is ice and Shui is water and Gewa means give me. But they look at me like, I don't know what you're trying to say.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the orders of words in the sentence a bit later. The grammar actually matters a little bit.
Oh, the sentences. See, now what I'm doing in my English brain is I'm just taking the English grammar structure and I'm copying and pasting and replacing it with Chinese words. But now I'm learning a new lesson. We have to get rid of those English language. And depending on which language you speak, you may have to get rid of all the things you've learned about your own language because you're learning something totally new.
Yes, so next time, to start with, try 请给我冰水.
请给我冰水.
Okay, so try please give me ice water to start with. And going back to the tone thing, my suggest is that if you find learning and remembering the tones super hard, focus on collecting and building up your vocabulary and try to say the same thing in different ways. That actually helps.
Oh my gosh, and I've just realized something now. Do you know what I've done? When I said it that way in Chinese, 金冰水给我, that's the way you would say it
in Korean?
In Korean,
right?
Almost, right? Because the grammar is flipped around, like 물 주세요, water please. Yeah. So now I have to unlearn the Korean grammar structure and replace it with the Chinese grammar structure. Oh my goodness. Isn't this so fun and interesting? Right? This is what makes it so fun and challenging too.
Yes. So different languages, different rules, different habits, and sometimes different polite and impolite ways of saying things. I know being polite is essential in the Korean language, right? So yeah, so there are different things to care about. Yet, actually, again, going back to the tone thing, my suggest is that if you're using relatively long sentences, if you can say the same thing in different ways and you can get around it, then tones do not matter that much. Especially Chinese is a pictographic language.
Yes.
You cannot actually know how to pronounce the character only based on the character itself. It can be a little bit challenging when someone's starting from the very beginning. So in that cases, remember as many set phrases or correct sentences as possible. And starting from there, little by little, build up your database for the correct expressions. And you will find that even you're getting one or two tones off, people will still understand you.
How do you say thank you, teacher?
谢谢.
No, you didn't tell me teacher.
谢谢老师.
谢谢老师.
Aw, you're very welcome.
Okay, my brain is fried now.
It is okay. And I think we've got a really good first Chinese lessons. It's not a typical way to learn a language like this because if you're in school, definitely the teachers will tell you how to recognize pinyin to start with. That is a way to pronounce Chinese characters.
Yeah.
You're using the letters, actually borrowing the letters and then adapting it and giving it different ways to pronounce. And by understand the pronunciation of each and every pinyin and you put the pinyins together, you will be able to pronounce Chinese. Basically, we would give each character a pinyin, and with that pinyin, you know how to pronounce the entire sentence. And that is the very beginning. And then maybe your teacher would also give you some info about Chinese characters. We start from the relatively beginning of the character, from 1, 2, 3, 4, or from basically the simple ones, because Chinese characters are a little bit like Legos. It's like building blocks.
Yeah.
You put them together and sometimes you form a new character, but based on the character component, which most occasions are also characters, you would be able to guess the pronunciation as well as the meaning of the characters.
Yeah, but not being familiar, starting from the very beginning and not being familiar with any of those characters, you're right. It's just, they're very pretty to look at, but they look like paintings, don't they? So yeah, that's but you have to start somewhere, right?
You have to start somewhere. So if you are learning the language at school, that might be your first lesson. But for our fun takeaway Chinese podcast, hopefully you can start by saying 幸会幸会, and that being the first sentence you know how to say in Chinese would give you a kickstart in picking up this beautiful language.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin here with Steve Hatherley in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, ratings, and comments. Especially tell us whether or not you enjoy this new design, new mini-series in Takeaway Chinese. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
Thank you for having me. See you next time.